Hi, this is Matt Donegan from Challenger Stories. I'm here with Lennox Addo, who's the co-founder and event director of the Jewellery Show London. Lennox, a real pleasure to speak with you today. Now, I would say, tell me what the Jewellery Show London is about, but I think it might be in the title. But tell me something about the Jewellery Show London, because it's relatively new on the event circuit, on the business-to-business event circuit. So tell me about the show. Give me a bit of background.
Well, essentially the show is a platform for both retailers and suppliers of the fine jewellery trade communicating with each other, meeting each other, and essentially, hopefully, doing business with each other down the line. That's essentially what the jewellery show is. It's a destination for business to get together and do business moving forward. That's what it is.
So the Jewellery Show London, now that it's relatively new, tell me a bit of background about the show, how it's come about and how you came about. You're the event director, you're the co-founder. How did you start Jewellery Show London?
Yeah, that's a great question, Matt. So in a nutshell, before us, there was another fine jewellery trade show in London that was running for about 68 years, something along those lines. So it's very ingrained in the fine jewellery trade sector within the UK. That sadly went away, and then I got made redundant. So I partnered up with one of a recruiter to find work. Alongside of doing that, I was both getting calls from both retailers and suppliers asking me to do something. Like, Lennox, you should make your own show, or you should put a hotel one together, or do something to go bring us all together. Now, I don't know why they chose me, Matt, but I took that challenge upon myself, gave it a few months, and then I went shopping, essentially. Then I got introduced to one, which a guy called Michael Diamond, who runs an event. He runs an events show, an events exhibition business called the Assembly Events, and he is now a silent partner of the Jewellery Show, which we're now partnered with a bigger events company that do over 100 trade shows all over the world, and they're called Closer Still Media. So together with the Assembly Events, guiding me on how to be an event director, we're also using the infrastructure of Closer Still Media to put on the actual event and use their expertise in putting on niche trade shows in the UK market. So that happened about 3 years ago now. So we're in our 4th year, and essentially it all started out by pitching the show to a handful of key UK jewellery suppliers, manufacturers, to be fair, in the UK. And then from then, we've just grown the confidence, grown our ability to put on an event and have some international exposure as well from the wider community of the trade show, fine jewellery trade show landscape, to be fair. So that's it, pretty much, in a nutshell. We've been real focused and we've stayed true to promoting what fine jewellery UK manufacturers and suppliers can actually showcase in the UK, because without us there will be no other platform to really celebrate the fine jewellery trade exhibition, trade market within the UK.
It's an interesting space because the events market post-COVID, or because of COVID, some of it just collapsed, right? Just fell by the wayside. But there has been a move back into events. People want to meet each other. People want to see each other. They want to, look in each other's eyes. It's about building know, like, and trust, and you can do that at one of these shows, right? You get up to the stands, and you're either the buyer or on the stand. It's an important part of the transaction. We live in such a digital age now. Everything seems to be sold online, and yet this isn't the sort of thing that you can do with this. Really, it sounds like there was a need to have that back in the marketplace.
Yeah, 100%, Matt, 100%, Matt. And the thing is with fine jewellery is that this is a product that has to be held. You have to touch it, you have to see it, you have to feel the weight of that bracelet, loose diamonds, or that engagement rings, or those collection of earrings and so forth. You have to really touch and feel. It's a real physical product. And from that, manufacturers, suppliers, distributors, watch distributors can tell their story to their prospective clients whilst they're in front of them. Yes, you can buy jewelry online, you can do that, but primarily you have to be there with the actual pieces itself in order to feel the quality.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, since you started the business, right, it was a legacy business. It ran for prior to the London, so the Jewellery Show London. Prior to that, there'd been a show that had been going for 68 years. That show had ceased, and you stepped into the breach. You stepped into the marketplace. It sounds like it might have been a bit of an easy win, but was that the case? Was it all easy going, or was it actually really quite challenging?
Again, a beautiful question. Extremely challenging. The fundamentals, first of all, was the fact that we started in 2022 and COVID is just slowly petering out. As you rightly mentioned, exhibitions, trade shows, in-person events was almost completely flatlined. People were scared, nervous, apprehensive to come out. And we started right in the thick of that because around us, when I say around us, around the UK, there were other fine jewelry trade shows still going ahead. And the UK had no platform in order for fine jewelers to come together. So that was a number one challenge, to prove to the market that we're A, safe, B, we can put on a show as a new face, a new business, a new exhibition company in regards to being unknown to the traders. We had to prove to them that we can put on a trade show of this nature, but also and fundamentally the security around a show like ours. Now, as you can imagine, we've got high value goods, extreme high value goods in one place. Security is paramount. CCTV is paramount. Facial recognition, the Met Police, undercover police, salt sniffer dogs, everything. So we had to demonstrate to our audience, to our clients, that we can put on a trade show that's secure, first and foremost, before even putting on the show in its first instance. So how we done that was by really engaging with the market, demonstrating to them our plans, our ideas, our ethos, and then really just leaving it up to them to trust us, to be fair, And we also partnered with a few key associations within the trade that also gave us that kudos, in order for people to put their faith in us. But it's been extremely challenging, which I'm sure we'll get onto later on. But Matt, it's been hard. It's really hard.
But look, this is your first business, right? You worked inside companies. Correct. This is your first business. How do you find it as a kind of first-time founder? What do you find most surprising about being a business owner?
Well, first of all, you have to really put yourself out there. I've put my name out there into the marketplace. I've told everyone I can do this. And the sheer passion that I have in order to demonstrate to the market that I'm trustworthy with their goods and to bring a sector together is what really excites me and drives me. And then following on from that is to see that business is being conducted by the relationships or by the groups of people I've brought together, So that's one of the things that really excite me in doing what I'm doing currently right now. The follow-up to that will be some of the key challenges that I've faced in this first instance. As I mentioned beforehand, and I'm probably going to repeat myself, but it's a case of just getting the wheels moving, rolling, getting that momentum going after the first show to the second show, getting the key datelines correct, because we've got in the show, the Fine Jewelry Trade Show, in the UK, I have to be very mindful of the Jewish community, because of their holiday datelines. I also have to be mindful about the buying period for retailers, and also some manufacturing datelines of when new launches will be coming into play. So I've had all of those dates, all of those conditions to marry up to create a perfect dateline for everyone to come out. So that's been some of the challenges in that respect there.
So just in terms of being a first-time founder, what do you find kind of surprising or challenging in that? Because when you're working inside a business, when you're an employee, you don't have all the stuff that a founder has, right? So when you're a founder, you make a choice, and the choice is comes down to, and it's a really strange choice, right? Because the choice is, do I want to be the last person to get paid, the last person to get a raise, the last person to get any thanks, and the first person anybody ever comes to if they've got a problem? Or do I want to sleep at night easy? And then to carry on from that, you say, well, what are the benefits? Why am I going to do this thing? Because I think when lots of us start a business, we start it on the basis that it's going to give us financial security, it's going to give us a sense of ownership, it's going to give us a sense of purpose, it's going to help deliver the dreams that we want in our life. But the opposite can be true. It can suck your time away. It can take you away from your family. It can provide significant financial insecurity, at least until the business starts to function properly. And it can be a fairly thankless task. Out of all those things, that leap into the unknown, what have you found the most challenging out of all that?
Time management.
Yeah.
Time management would be the most fundamental aspect of everything here for me. That's been incredibly challenging. How to manage family life. I've got 2 children, a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old and a wife. Then I've got the business that I bring home as well. If you ask my 2 children, where does daddy sleep? They'll tell you downstairs on the dining room table. Do you know what I mean? It's constant, it's 24 hours. So managing time, managing people's expectations of me, aspects of doing marketing, operations, the sales, everything of that nature there. That's been the one thing that's been incredibly challenging, is just to manage time and lifetime as well.
Yeah, great answer, because I think it's one of those things that employees don't get, they don't understand. And most employees, and even friends, will think that because you've got your own business, you must be...
Well, this is it.
Your bank balance must be full, but it's often not the case until certainly you reach that point of profitability. So, and that can be really hard. The challenges of time, it's really interesting that you mentioned time, because when it comes down to it, when I look at the 4 aspects of value, right? What really takes resource in a business is time and money, right? So you look at time, you look at money, you can waste time and you can waste money. You can spend time and you can spend money, and you can invest time and you can invest money. Well, the one thing that you can't do is you can't create any more time. You can borrow money, you can't borrow time. You can sell equity in a business, but you can't sell the valuable time that you have. So it's a really, really, really good point, and one that I think a lot of business owners will resonate with, but lots of people who don't have a business perhaps don't know. So yeah, really, really good point there. So you're inside a larger organisation. There's a degree of support, I'm sure, but you're responsible still for your P&L. It's not like you're leaning back into a large corporate and saying, look, fund this until we're spinning stuff up, right? I'm sure you got commercial pressures there. What your previous role, did that have a strong commercial delivery to it, or was it management? Was it technical? How did that run?
Yeah, no, my previous role, I was literally just sales. So just selling exhibition spaces within the previous jewellery trade show that I used to work at. Yeah, that was literally just it, just sales. So I didn't care about anything else, but just about my own targets. Yeah. That was it.
Okay.
So then doing this role here, it's a 360. Yeah. So being part of a wider team in order to drive those P&Ls.
Yeah. So Lennox, here's a question. You were looking for a job at the time because you were leaving. You'd left the previous entity who were running this show, or running a show, and then you were looking for a job. Did you, when you were seeking employment, were you ever thinking, do you know what, I want to start my own business, or was it something that just kind of fell into your lap and you went, yeah, sure, I'll do this? How does it work out?
Yeah, so in the back of my mind, I've always wanted to start something. I just didn't know what it was. And then, like with all good ideas or all good opportunities, it's all about time and the right place, the right time and the right place, you know. And this situation just came about. It wasn't a perfect situation because it was during COVID, but because I'm so passionate about jewellery and the fine jewellery trade, it only made sense for me just to represent the UK, represent that market, especially when I looked internationally and saw that other countries were still putting on fine jewellery trade events. And I was asking myself the question, why not us? Or why not us? Like, the UK has such a rich history with jewellery making, factory, distributing and so forth, and why can't we put on a show? So I just stepped to the plate and just said, you know what, I'm passionate about the sector. I know the players, the key bellwethers as we call them, within the marketplace. I know a lot of the retailers as well in this space. So let me try and do something. If it fails, that's fine. As long as I can put my hands up and say I've done my best, I've done my hardest, and it's failed, fine. I can use that learning curve and move on to something else. But I wasn't afraid of failure at all. I was just more determined to put the UK back on the map with something that's tangible and that can represent the UK as a whole.
So a real kind of mission behind the business to really put the trade back on the map in the UK. You saw that there was a requirement in the marketplace. You saw that there was a need in the marketplace. So it's problem solution. You looked at what was missing and then you filled the gap. What's been your biggest lesson so far as a business owner?
Expectations with my clients, as well as the board of directors that I'm responsible to. Because in my mind, I've got the dream, I've got the vision, I've got what it looks like. But then when you speak to clients, when you speak to prospective partners and so forth, they're also coming on board with their own picture, and it's what I've learned is to marry up my thoughts with other people's as well, that's also invested in the show, and not just take upon myself to say I know best as such. So I've really honed in on the skill on picking what everybody wants and then going away and fusing it together so that we're all happy with the end product. And to be fair though, Matt, that's not a one-time process, and I'm sure you can attest to this. That's how can I explain it? That's a rolling development of learning and understanding and refining and really getting to understand what people want, or asking the right relevant questions to what they want, because sometimes people don't know what they really want until you really sort of map it out for them, so I'm constantly learning in that respect in order just to be the best event director that I can. I'm not the best, but I'm definitely determined, and I don't think anyone can outwork me, if I'm being honest with you.
Lennox, I can see the passion. I can clearly see it in you. Can I ask you about? So we're all inspired by people around us. We're inspired by. It could be friends and family. It could be our parents. It could be a business leader. It could be a sports person. Is there anybody that you would invite to your imaginary board? So there's a kind of concept which says if you had a board of directors a group of mentors around you who you'd surround yourself with, who would that be? Who would be on that board? Have you ever given yourself that kind of thought? Is there anybody you admire that you'd like alongside you?
So Matt, I haven't thought about that question, but I can give you an answer. But just to ask you, just for a bit of clarification, are you talking about people that we know in the world, or people that I've met along the way, myself personally, or?
It can be anybody, literally. It can be a member of your family, It could be a historical figure, anything,
Yeah, okay, alright. Well, first of all, number one, my mentor, Michael Donegan from the Assembly events. He runs Assembly events. He's got a wealth of knowledge in regards to putting on live events within the UK, internationally, China, etc. So I've learned an extreme amount from him, especially his versatility in problem solving on the spot issues, as well as big issues as well that come along. So Michael Donegan for sure, from the Assembly events, him. Also as well, I would say an advertising guru, David, if I'm maybe Matt, you can help with the pronunciation of this man.
David Ogilvy.
You pronounce his name? Ogilvy. Yeah, advertising extraordinaire. The way of putting words together in order to paint a picture for the prospect to really vividly see what it is you're trying to sell. I've learned so much from his books. Definitely Steve Jobs, 100% Steve Jobs, but not necessarily for bringing out the iPhone, iPad, and all those things, but just for his sheer work ethic and his never say never mindset, for sure. I'll throw in the mix there is, bear with me, hold on.
Right.
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
Excellent. Okay, yeah,
Warren
brilliant.
Buffett. Warren Buffett. Because of his fascination with numbers and his work ethic in regards to understanding the fundamentals of business. I've taken his approach to the fundamentals of doing what I do. And so it's Warren Buffett and Ray Dalio. I'll put them in the same I put them in the same in the same category, because when you look at the fundamentals, then I can work backwards on why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Why is it that I'm doing what I'm doing? So working backwards, using that framework. Ray Dalio and Warren Buffett are put together in that same category. There's so many achievers out there that are known and unknown, but put me on the spot like that, those are the first few that come to mind.
Love it. If there's one thing you would change about the business, your business, what would it be?
Having the perfect venue and the perfect date line. Because as I mentioned before, I have to be mindful about the different cultures we work with, the different celebratory dates, the venue availability. That's a bit clustered out there. So if I could change anything, then it would be having the right date line and the right any time I want. If that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it does make sense. So you're kind of in control of your own destiny to a certain extent. Love it. Yeah, why wouldn't we all want that? That would be perfect, right? In control of our own destiny. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
So Lennox, look, I get the feeling that you're not the sort of guy who's just going to pack your bags and go, right, I've had enough, I'm out of here. This is way too hard. But have there been any moments when you're running the business, when you're thinking, I don't know if I can do this anymore? And if there have been, how do you get over that?
So moments where I've just sat back and thought, this is hard, this is tough. It's always around sales. It's always around, can we get more? The product we've got is good, but there's a heavier demand on delivering more, and the capacity of being able to do so isn't within our reach. How I've gotten over those situations is really just going back to, like I was mentioning about Ray Dalio and Warren Buffett, going back to the fundamentals of why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I in this position right now? It's because of going back to the fundamentals of celebrating, presenting and fine jewellery trade industry in the UK. So we've got a product already that's doing well. Of course we want to do well more, but we can't run before we can walk. So it's a case of just going backwards, taking a couple steps back, really cementing what we've got to then launch forward. So it's almost just reminding myself, if I'm being honest, of where we've come from and where we are now, and we've got so much more to achieve that it's actually exciting, So it's just really slowing down and just understanding where are we right now, and then embracing that, recalibrate, and then move forward.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's an absolutely fantastic point. And look, I've heard an expression, and it's something I can completely understand and completely buy into. What is the reason that we have brakes on a vehicle? Like the reason we have brakes on a car? Is it so that we can slow down? Or is it so that we can control ourselves enough that we can speed up? That we can be confident of our starting point and know what to accelerate into? So the brakes give us control, but they give us control to speed up. Lots of people think the brakes are there, and when you look at a business often sits back or reflects upon itself, consolidates, makes sure that it's got good structure, and puts the brakes on, and then goes, right, now we can fly, now we can really, really push on. So I really get your point there, and I can really understand where you're coming from. Consolidation, getting control of the situation, and then moving on. Great illustration there. Thank you for that. Would you do it again? Would you start your own business again? And if the answer is yes, what would you do differently?
Definitely start this business all over again, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. What I will do different, I'll be more prepared in expectations. So I'll, instead of just relying on what I'm going to be delivering, I'll have the mindset of understanding, hold on Lennox, I'm going to say this, but be prepared of somebody else saying, how about this? Or you could be doing this, and having that mindset ready. Because at the time, not having that mindset I've probably lost maybe a couple of weeks in trying to understand why they said what they said, how can I fit it in, being a bit more flexible in my ideas. So now I'm more fluid, I'm more liquid, you know. But at the time, I was very much of, we've got to do it like this, and do it like that. So if I had my time again, I'll be more liquid, more fluid, more open to receiving other ideas in order to fuse it all together to having a bigger and better show at this present moment in time. So,
yeah, really like that. Having an open mind is brilliant. Having an open mind but a clear vision of where you want to get to. So knowing where you want to get to and then being not malleable but being flexible about how you're going to get there. That's a really good lesson for any business, to be able to listen to and edit the good things that people say to you. Because listen, everybody's got an opinion, right? You run a business, everybody has got an opinion. Whether it's wife, your friends, business partners, your employees, and there's a brilliant skill in running a business, probably the primary skill of editing what's around you, taking on what's right, what you know to be right, and then focusing in on that. So Lennox, thank you for your very honest and clear answers today. It's been an absolute joy speaking with you. I'm loving what you've done. I'm loving the fact that you were in the trade, you saw an opportunity. The Jewellery Show London, going to go from strength to strength, is going from strength to strength. You've got a great product. You've got a really nice tight niche. There's nothing better than a tight niche, and that is going to provide you with many years of success. I'm absolutely sure about that. So Lennox Addo from the Jewellery Show London, thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate the time. Thank you for having me.